Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Cheryl here and today we are looking at another watercolor painting process. This time it's a watercolor Kingfisher and I approach this painting in a style that is more spontaneous and expressive. So it's a loose watercolor painting as opposed to the realistic approach that I usually stick to. And the reason was that I just wanted to explore how much more I can do with watercolors, how much freedom there is, especially with this beautiful and magnificent bird that comes with such vibrant colors that you can do so much with it. So let's dive right in and see how I approach this painting. I have a sketch of my bird ready with me and I mix some blue first, but a very dilute mix. So just dabbing off my paintbrush, and I also have a concentrated mix here. The way I created this mix was by mixing a deep blue as well as viridian hue because I wanted something leaning towards green, and the kind of green that viridian has is what I found appropriate for a kingfisher. So here's me mixing viridian green as well as a deep blue color. And I start with the darkest, which is quite different from what you'd see most watercolor artists do. I like to go very bold very quick, so this is how I start the painting. In fact, that's the kind of approach I like to take with life as well. After years of not playing badminton, I decided to return to the court and play for maybe just 1 hour. But I got so bold so fast and I played so hard at it that I ended up with an injury on my knee. Upon visiting the doctor, they told me that it was a complete ACL tear and I had to undergo a ligament reconstruction to get back the stability in my leg. And while I definitely do not recommend being so reckless in real life, it certainly pays off to be reckless in watercolors, especially since you do want to break things when you are doing watercolors, but not in real life. Keep that in mind. And watercolors is just that medium, that gives you the freedom and spontaneity to let out all your energy on the playground, which is your watercolor sheet, in a safe and channeled manner to create a beautiful and groundbreaking outcome without breaking a leg. So on my watercolor sheet, I proceed to block in the shadows where I see the darker parts, and wherever there are highlights, I just drag a very dilute mix of paints. Maybe it's just the blue, or sometimes it's not even the blue, just clear water that I drag across the page to catch the texture on the page. And that gives the rough, feathery impression near the torso of the bird. I proceed to the head of the bird and I use the same mix of viridian and deep blue that I had earlier. I had mixed enough of it so that I can use it for my entire painting. This is a really fun and enjoyable activity to engage in, this loose style of painting. If you're just relaxing at home, recovering from an ACL reconstruction or other, really serious surgeries, this is a great way to spend your time. But do not forget your physiotherapy in any case. That's always very important. It's always important to contrast the fun with the, necessities. And in this specific bird painting, while blue is necessary, the orange that will come later, which is such a defining color for the kingfisher, is the groundbreaking part. We'll come to that very soon. But while I still have the opportunity, I will block in these darker shades on the wet surface of the head to give the impression of patterns on this bird. And those patterns just add so much interest. We all want a little bit of drama in life, without which life would be so boring. And that drama is exactly what we get when we lock in these details and apply contrast and change the colors. And there's just so much we can do for drama. But before we proceed, let's just create the base of the beak, because I would like to block in some deeper colors later, and I would like this first layer of light colors to dry up completely before I put the deeper colors. And now we can go to the biggest drama, which is the orange and the red. The most dramatic part comes now. So we put the orange. Oh, this is too much orange. I wanted more yellow leaning, so let's pick up some yellow as well. And let's just put it in regions which we see on the kingfisher have that color, and just slowly put it in the right places. And Next, let me just pick up some yellow. Let me not make it too orange. And that also adds to the drama, the shades. It's more orange but at some places, but more yellow at other places. Just refining some of the lines here because while fun is all good, refinement is necessary for the final piece to stand out and look polished. The details. Now come the details. We are progressively going from a place where we were focusing on the large picture to now we are focusing more and more on the details. So, what 10 physiotherapy exercises specifically do I have to do? That is the detail. And the larger picture is that I broke my ACL. See? So, now this part requires a bit more blue. And I'll just drag that paint to create the impression of a shading. And let me get some more of that viridian color and that blue to deepen the color near the neck of the bird. And now the beak is dry, so I can go ahead and put the darker colors in there. We can already see our bird coming together. It's so much easier to see this than I see my ACL getting better, but I'm sure it will. I will be completely fine and able to walk one day, and you'll be completely fine and able to walk in your watercolor journey one day as well. So do not worry. We all get there with practice and constant physiotherapy. Practice is important. Practice makes you perfect. Now, moving on to the branch that the Kingfisher is perched on, I just drag a very dilute mix of gray, which is Payne's gray for me, onto the paper and I catch the texture of the paper. The paper I'm using is rough grade because I really like to play it rough. So, this rough grade paper really allows me to create that texture and gives me more details and more, drama in this painting. And that is very, very good for a painting like this. Maybe let's add some brown or orange rather in these parts of the bird just to intensify the color. It always helps to layer with watercolors. That's how you build intensity. You let the earlier layer dry completely, then you put more color on top, then you let that dry completely, then put more layer, and you can even soften some of the edges like I softened here because not everything needs to be very rough. Sometimes soft is good, and you really need to balance the two. It's all about balance in life. Also, to balance out the tail, and the tail has to be really balanced, or the bird would fall on its face because that's the role of a bird's tail or even an animal's tail. It helps it with the balance. So we want to make sure that the tail is indeed balanced so it doesn't fall on its face, the painting. My painting is nearly complete now, but I'm trying to see what more I could do. There's definitely the eye that needs to be there because beauty lies in the eye of the kingfisher and the eye of the kingfisher alone. The eye of any creature or animal that you're, painting, or even if you're making a human portrait, the eye is usually the place where the viewer first looks. And if the eye captures the viewer, then the rest of the painting would draw them in. It's very important to get the eye right. So be patient in the part where you try the eye. Moving on, just intensifying colors because intense is good. In watercolors, intensity is not easy. You have to struggle for intensity, but struggle is good. Your ACL needs that struggle to get back to a stage where you can walk again. It's about learning how to walk in watercolors. Just adding a bit more shadow near the base of the beak. And now that the bark is dry, that it's perched on, I'm adding the feet of the bird as well. And with that, my painting is nearly complete. I just need to put my mark on it, to show everybody that this was what I did, that I made it. And how do I do that? What better way to do that on a painting then to put your signature. So I'll get to that very soon. Let's sign this piece, right? Let's put our mark on it. So that's my signature. And the very last part is to take out any excess energy that was still stored in you after doing this painting, which means splatter the paints. So I just slowly splatter it, but not so slowly. And at last, my painting is complete. So I hope you enjoyed this painting process video. This is the final look of my Kingfisher. I hope you like it. And if you do, then do comment and subscribe to my videos. See you in the next one. Bye bye.